What's going on, everybody? I'm Brandon.
And I'm Calvin.
And this is On That Note.
So, yeah, basically what this is for a very long time now, Brandon and I have been trying to just do something that feels creative, something that feels collaborative, something that means something to us. And so we decided to do a podcast. And with this podcast is talk about one of our passions, which is music. And let this be an outlet for us outside of our professional spaces. So basically we're just going to be talking about music. We're going to be talking about, of course, what's going on in the culture right now. And then also just doing a few breakdowns of some artists or performances or bodies of work that we think are of noteworthy, I guess you would say. So yeah, just getting right into it. The first section that we're going to be doing is While You Were Sleeping. So basically, that's just a section that describes just something that y'all might have missed out on, something you slept on, something that we think is worth mentioning, in case y'all want to go check it out. So, yeah, I mean, I can start with mine.
Okay, sure. Go for it. Go for it.
All right, so, and this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with music, but, recently, within the last few days, Netflix announced that Luke Cage was getting canceled, or they were canceling Luke Cage after 2 seasons, and they had already said maybe a few days before that they were canceling another Marvel show, Iron Fist, but I don't know why. I don't feel like Luke Cage was slept on, but for whatever reason, they've decided to...
Shit, Netflix.
Yeah. No, right. I mean, because I remember when Luke Cage first came out, that literally Netflix broke down. They broke Netflix because so many people were watching the first episode, and so just to go from that and that amount of relevance to be canceled after 2 seasons, also while realizing it is the only Marvel show with a predominantly black cast, and the same thing. I mean, so even though Iron Fist has a white male lead, most of the supporting cast and the person who got top billing with him this season was a woman of color, an Asian woman. So it's just it really blows my mind that happened. I have a few theories. I know that Netflix has so much original content right now, and they might be trying to pare down a little bit, but I mean, shit, they just didn't have to do that to Luke Cage like that. I thought that the second season was good. Honestly, I thought that it improved a lot on the first season. But yeah, for whatever reason.
So, I mean, I guess here's my thoughts on it. One, once I saw Iron Fist was being canceled, and mind you, I'm not this huge but Luke Cage, Iron Fist is Marvel, yeah. Right? Okay, good. Huge superhero. Okay, good.
Right. Just so y'all know.
Well,
probably coming up a lot.
I don't necessarily live in that world,
no,
but
right.
I dip a toe in every now and again. So I did watch the first season of Luke Cage, and I thought it was good. But when I heard that Iron Fist was getting canceled, for some reason, I just felt like Luke Cage was coming next. I was just yo, they gonna say it got canceled. Maybe a part of it was just me personally. I still haven't watched the second season of Luke Cage, so maybe I'm a part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just, and there's so much content out right now, and a lot of times people will just say it's interesting because I think that we should probably revisit the way that we look at ratings, because no one really watches live television that much anymore.
But Netflix isn't live television.
I guess that's true. But right. So to that point, I'm just but they have to know how many people are watching their shows, obviously.
But at the same time, though, it's not it's what's the difference in 1 million people watching the show when it first gets dropped
and months later?
You know what I mean?
For whatever reason, I think that matters. I think that the numbers look at when, because it's the same thing with live television. Right. Even though we have Hulu now and Netflix, which has shows that are live, they will the way that they look at it is they look.
Netflix has shows that are live.
Like they put How to Get Away with Murder on Netflix is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like
Gotcha.
shows that were live or their seasons are put on Netflix. Yeah, no. But yeah, I don't know. I say all that to say, you know, R.I.P. Luke Cage. Hopefully they can put hopefully they can put it on because Disney is coming out with a streaming service. Hopefully there's enough backlash that, because you know Disney owns all of that shit. They own Star Wars, they own Marvel, they own
that's right.
So many things beyond that. Pixar, well, they don't own Pixar, but you know. So for that reason, I'm hoping that there's enough backlash to where someone else will want at least the characters, because I thought that they were compelling characters also, like Misty Knight, who is played by Simone Missick. I'm just like obsessed.
Okay.
I am obsessed, and she was in the second season of Iron Fist, and she and Colleen Wing, who is the Asian woman, I'm blanking on the actress's name right now, but they made the season. So it's just like, fuck. Like, you get invested in characters,
right,
and you want to see them. I don't know. You want to see them. You want to see more of them, and I am hoping that I get to, because I will honestly feel cheated if I don't see more Misty Knight.
Well, I mean, you know, at least you got a second season of Luke Cage. I'm still tight as fuck that Netflix dropped the Get Down.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Right after my
That's
girl,
another one.
I mean,
yeah, I never watched it.
You know.
So.
Okay, you don't follow the problem. Look at it, both of us. Fuck it up.
I know.
But I mean, you know, I think there's always gonna be the kind of like what if, in terms of like, especially when we're kind of living in this, I don't want to say renaissance, because I feel like maybe that's like putting too much on it, but we're living in an age where we are seeing a bit more of a proliferation of people of color leading shows, developing shows, things like that. And it's exciting. So then when one of those shows gets dropped or canceled, it's kind of like, well, are there racial implications to it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I do think that there are, right? Maybe not for the exact same reasons as, like, you know, it being canceled. But I think that these networks and these different outlets do know that right now, if I can release a show that has, like, people of color that, you know, is diverse, things like that, then I'm going to get some viewership based on that.
Right.
So I guess it's like, but how much does that factor into the decision to keep a show, to bring on more shows, things like that. Yeah. So, and I mean, the thing about it is that Netflix isn't hurting. Right? No. You know what I mean? Like, that's the like, right. They could have funded another fucking season. It's fine. They could have.
It's okay.
Damn.
But yeah.
So shout out to Netflix for sleeping on Luke.
Right, exactly. And everybody else that didn't watch the second season.
Oh, so okay.
Sorry. No.
Okay. I felt that.
I'm sorry.
Just let me remove the knife from my back. But no, so I am gonna go in a little bit of a different direction with my While You Were Sleeping. Again, like music heads, so I'm gonna bring it back to the music normally. So who I want to talk about is this guy named Darian Brockington.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, so Darian Brockington.
Been sleeping
for years. Now he was like in a group. I thought he like did work with the group. I should probably look that up.
Okay.
But I remember hearing about Darian Brockington back in like 2006. So back then in the early days of iTunes,
right?
Like iTunes will have like a free single of the week, and
I think I remember that.
Okay, yeah. You know, I know you kind of like maybe young, so I don't know.
I had an iTunes account in 2006.
I was gonna say this is my first semester in college, so I'm just saying. What grade were you?
Don't worry about that.
But to the point, Darian Brockington had this song called "Can We Fall in Love Again," and that was the free single of the week. And so, because you could cater it to, I think, your genre preferences. So,
oh yeah, right.
You know, R&B all day. So I downloaded it and I was like, oh, this cat sounds pretty good. So then I ended up listening to the project, and the name of the album is, hold on, I do need to pull that up. Somebody to Love. So Darian Brockington, Somebody to Love. Check that album out. and it's like just really good from start to finish. My favorite song on this joint is called "Come On Over," track number 7.
Okay, love that number.
Okay. For obvious reasons that may become obvious to those of you who don't quite know it yet. But yeah, it's a really dope track.
So if you were to, and I mean, I'm sure he has his own sound and everything, but if you were to, because I remember 2006 R&B, and that was very much like right after Chris Brown had just released his first album. That's like around like Life Jennings era. Like, so what, like, if you were to not compare, but if he had a sound that was similar to someone else that was out then, or maybe even out now, doubtful, but who would you say he would sound like?
So that's a really good question. Like, I think I would probably say that you can hear a little bit of like a Bilal in his voice.
Yeah.
Probably makes music in the vein of maybe like probably even like similar thematically to like a Bilal. I want to say maybe like a D'Angelo.
Okay.
But he doesn't sound like D'Angelo.
Right.
He sounds a little like Bilal.
Okay.
I think maybe like
but
in
just
school.
Musically, stylistically.
Yeah, like that. It was kind of like almost an extension of that neo soul.
Right. Okay. So
like
who was that? Shoot. Raheem Devon. Something like that.
Good. Yes.
Okay.
Raheem Devine, maybe
Yeah.
like Dwele, like kind of like could be contemporaries with them.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, he's super dope. I remember him dropping a project in like 2008, but that's like the last I've really heard anything from him. But yeah, while you were sleeping, I really hope that you all check that album out.
Yeah. I mean, send me the link.
I definitely will. I will, cause you need to listen to it front to back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that coming off of that, you know, now that we told y'all what y'all been sleeping on, let's talk about some things that maybe y'all have been seeing in the past few days in the news or on IG, where a lot of us get our news from these days.
Yeah, so this next section is called
Gossip Folks.
Right. I mean, if you know, you know, and we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so Gossip Folks. So you have some information.
I put up a couple of things.
Okay.
So this week we're gonna get into a couple of stories that are happening, but also talking about a couple of newer projects that have dropped.
Okay.
Because I think like there's a couple of things worth discussing.
Yeah.
But first, so back to the brook, not for Ashanti. Let me explain.
What is that?
Let me explain. So
what does that even mean?
This is actually pretty cool because it allows me to blend some of my professional background into the music piece. But I'm about to explain it to you because I see the look on your face. So Stony Brook University in New York. I want to say Stony Brook is on Long Island. Yeah. Long Island, New York, pretty big school, probably at least 25,000 students.
Oh.
Yeah, something serious. It's a big campus. So Stony Brook University has homecoming coming up because this is homecoming season.
Yes.
I cannot wait to turn up later this week for homecoming myself. But so every year at Stony Brook, they have this concert called Back to the Brook. Okay. And so this year, they were supposed to be having, originally they were supposed to have Tiana Taylor and I think some other folks perform. But about 2 weeks before the concert was supposed to happen, so I'm guessing this happened like within the last week or so, Tiana Taylor unfortunately had to pull out.
Okay.
So somebody around there had the bright idea to add Ashanti to the bill in place of Tiana Taylor. Now, don't get me wrong.
Like to headline?
Okay. It
Okay.
was Tiana Taylor. I mean, it's Ashanti. This girl named Kelsey. Let's see, because I have the lineup right here. But it was a girl named a newer artist named Kelsey something. I wasn't too familiar with her, and I think Justine Sky.
Okay.
So yeah, Kelsey Johnson. That's her name. So it was supposed to be those three, right?
Okay.
So, as of October 18th, which, as if we can all count, that was just this past Thursday.
Yeah.
So, a week before the concert is supposed to take place, the university, their USG, so I'm thinking that's like their undergraduate student government.
Okay.
All right, there we go. They released a statement saying they were canceling the concert.
Oh.
But get this, here's the shade. They canceled because only 24 concert tickets were sold. Yikes.
Oh my. So
24.
Did they start selling tickets before Tiana Taylor backed out? Or
so
no?
Now, so here's where I think that you're getting into a part of it that we need to focus on, right?
Okay.
Because in the statement, the undergraduate student government does say, we had some issues when we had to change our artist lineup. It threw off our marketing timelines and things like that. We weren't able to really promote the event like we should, and we're concerned about the low ticket sales. So we don't want to waste more money by putting on an event that is using student funds and that nobody's gonna come to. Where we could just cancel it and cut our losses, and they won't be as great.
Right.
So the statement does mention all that. I think that most people are just clinging to the fact that, damn, like they put Ashanti on the bill and they only sold 24 tickets. I mean, because I do think that, Ashanti,
I don't know where Ashanti is from, but is she from New York?
She is.
I think more than 24 people in New York want to see Ashanti in concert.
I would think so too, but just not at Stony Brook University, apparently. I mean, and that hurts me to say because I love me some Ashanti.
No, me too.
But I think that it was a couple of things, right? Because of course, like most of the outlets again are running with the fact that damn, Ashanti can't even sell a show. But I do think that coming from a higher education background and events, things like that, sometimes the people that are making the decisions to bring in artists or something like a show, it can really be fickle. Like the student body, you may think that they are gonna want to see this person, and then they'll be like, hell no, we don't. But I do still think that for a homecoming concert in 2018, Ashanti was probably just like a little bit mismatched for that particular event. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
or at least headlining it.
Right. So I don't know. It doesn't sound to me like maybe the students made that call because I feel like the students would probably know the student body better than that.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was like a staff person that was just like, yo, like I could get Ashanti on. I ain't gonna say like for the cheap, but I mean, like I don't think people still paying Ashanti 03 prices.
No.
It's unfortunate because she proved herself in the game, but it's just the music game is a game of popularity in the here and now.
Right.
But so also to that point, I think that when you look at booking someone like an artist on a college campus, you gotta stay current. You gotta I was reading the comments and I love a good comment section. So people were just like, yo, like we had Post Malone last year, like how we go from Post Malone to like 3 unknowns, which was shady because Ashanti is not an unknown. And
you don't have to go that hard for Post Malone. He's
right. And I don't even think that, I'm just going to skip over that. I don't think that Justine Scott is an unknown at this point. I mean, I don't know her music too tough, but I don't think she's an unknown. But it is kind of interesting when you look and see where people are like, yo, we had Bruno Mars and like Miguel and Janelle Monáe and Wiz and other people, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, I don't know kind of like what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty interesting.
Well, sorry, Ashanti.
No. It's unfortunate.
It is.
It's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. So shout out to Ashanti. Ashanti, I will come and see you in 2018. So there's that. So, sorry. Another thing of course a lot of people have been talking about is just, another day, another dish from Nicki Minaj, another subliminal diss apparently. on this new song on the Future and Juice WRLD album. I think the song's called Transformer.
Okay.
I personally haven't cared to listen to it.
Are there any like quotable lines?
You know, someone had pulled out some. You know, I'll see if I can find that later.
Yeah.
And we can discuss it, or we cannot.
Right.
You know, niggas kind of starting to get like Donald Trump.
No, so it's so funny because I think with her, I think with He Who Shall Not Be Named, and I think with Donald Trump, and y'all know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like
Jurassic Park.
There's I don't even know. I don't want to talk about this too much. But I think that there's a very similar energy coming from those three individuals, which is why two of them fuck with each other so heavy.
Are we sure all three don't?
I don't have that information.
But you know, that's funny because I've been thinking this for a little bit now. I was like, yo, like, she kind of like on that wave, like with the other two. But yeah, you know, shout out to Nicki Minaj for just overlooking her talent in favor of shading people and being messy. Like,
and that's the thing about it. No, this is not. We are definitely not on a hate Nicki train in any sense of the word. What I want for Nicki is for Nicki to do right by Nicki, and I don't think that she's doing that. And I think that if you have to be regal if you're gonna be a queen. What's the next?
Well, let that be that on that. That was immaculate. I really appreciated that. So and something a little no, we'll get to that last. Let's go to this.
Okay.
Apparently these producers ain't loyal out here.
Okay.
Because in a recent sit down with the Joe Budden podcast, Pusha T, shout out to Push, King Push, 2 Up 2 Down, Virginia all day, every day. He said that he didn't get the scoop on Adonis from Kanye. It came from some chick that 40, Noah 40.
Yeah, I know 40.
So 40 apparently was like, mentioning Drake and Pillow Talk. Yeah. And whoever the chick was that he dropped down to, that's where it came from. It be your own niggas.
That's so funny. Bro. That's so funny because I mean, but honestly at the same time, I don't know. I mean, it's like, that is something, if you were, I don't even know who this girl is, whether they were actually together or whether...
It didn't sound like that. He was just...
Like, if this is a girl that he literally took home from the club one night, and after smashing one night was sitting there like, yeah, I know Drake.
It sounded like he needed a therapist.
Yeah, right.
Like, instead of like,
if it's somebody that's... But if it's somebody... I'm pretty sure they're not in a relationship, but even if it's somebody that, y'all are having sex on a regular basis, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all have built a rapport, I guess, whatever you want to call it. It's like, maybe I just know people be talking. Like, you tell somebody a secret, it's not, like they say, I'm not going to tell anyone. That is always somebody else's secret to keep. Like, there's always an extra person.
There are no secrets between two people.
None.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
none.
It's... Especially, when you tell somebody else your business, instead of like, we got into some shit together.
Right.
But, apparently, and honestly, this is what I just love about, like, watching Pusha T in interviews, or, like, people like Pusha T, because he just kind of, like, makes his points, and he's just kind of like, So he was, like, saying that apparently this woman is some chick that I guess maybe we could say 40 was courting her. I don't know. But he was like, like, this is a chick that like he been kicking it with this, that, and the third. And apparently like, he was feeling some frustrations, maybe a disgruntled employee, and he went in and let have. So that's how the word got back around about little Adidas. So I mean, Drake, man, Well, the other thing about it, well, Drake, first of all, word to Drake, just watch your camp, fam. Second of all, I thought it was a good point being made about how, so Push was just like, yo, like, you know, he tried to run with this narrative of, like, I went too far with talking about 40. And he's like, and whole time, I know, like, well, shit, 40 is the reason why I know.
That's crazy.
So
that's insane.
It is. So, I mean, now I just want to see what Drake got to say. I want to see if 40 gonna say something.
I didn't even watch, like, I will, I guess eventually, but so the show that LeBron has,
The Shot.
Yeah. So Drake was on, there was a preview. I've been rewatching Game of Thrones, so they did like the previews before the episode starts. And there was a preview of an episode with Drake, and he was talking about how he was like, you know, the hip hop purists will say there's no rules to this or something like that. But he was like, but there are rules. Like, it's rules you got to follow. And I'm like, sure, I guess.
No.
And I think that there was supposed to be something so like, damn. And that's what the story was. That's what the narrative was. There was something that was so damning, essentially, that Drake just couldn't. He couldn't do it to hip hop to release the next track. You know? And I don't know. I don't know if I buy it, you know?
I definitely don't, bro. Like, first and foremost, and I wonder where you land with this too. I'm one of those people that I don't think that there are very many rules when it comes to if you engage in a beef with somebody. Yeah. Like, I mean, for me, I guess the one place where I tend to draw a line is like, don't be talking about people's kids. You know what I mean? Like, don't.
Or
like in a like way that's like threatening to the child. Or,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Or just honestly, death in general. I think is just, you know, like, it's not funny to talk about somebody who has died. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I thought you were saying like wishing death. I was like,
no, I'm not saying no. Right? Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying mentioning people that person has lost.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Like, that's just like, you don't gotta do that. You know?
Right. You don't.
But
at the same time, it's kind of like one of those things where.
No, yeah. I mean, hip hop is hip hop.
You know.
Yeah. No. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I'm not a rapper, so ain't nobody gonna have my name, hopefully, ever in a rap song. You know, I would rather be in like an R&B interlude. You know, like a voice message.
I feel you though.
Yeah.
It's like I might
make me the voicemail message on the R&B album will be good.
Right, because the most you're gonna get as a response from me is a witty tweet. Maybe a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live. I don't really be here with those type of shits. If you feel that strongly, enjoy. So I kind of want to like for like our last couple of things in this segment this week, just talk about some recent music that's been released that you know I think it'd be cool to just chat about. So let's start with the project that was released not this past Friday but the Friday before. Ella Mai finally got the debut album. Yes. She done gave us like 2011 mixtapes or EPs. Not that I'm complaining because I've enjoyed a lot of like, you know, her EPs or whatever, but it was cool to finally get like a body of work from her. What were your initial thoughts?
No, I mean I like Ella Mai a lot. You know, I think that she is doing something for R&B that I really appreciate, and I honestly just think generally the women are kind of like leading the charge of like what I really like about R&B, because I'm a bit of an R&B purist and like don't love the trap and B kind of movement. At least the direction that, like, if that's gonna be a thing, don't be a trap and B artist and an R&B artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, just I think that R&B is kind of missing right now. But it was refreshing. It was refreshing to hear this album. I think it was really well put together. I think that the progression of it, like the way that the album progresses, I think that was intentional, which is important for me. You know, like I'm always thinking about like, why did you put this track next to this track next to this track and all that stuff. Yeah, but no, I thought it was dope. I love the way that you realize throughout the interludes that she's spelling her name.
Yeah.
I was like, that's great. And then beyond that, I mean, she's just. I always forget that she is from the UK until she starts talking. Because she just, I mean, and I guess everybody has that regular, or whatever you want to call it, that singing voice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I mean, she just has an amazing voice. Yeah, I don't even think, I mean, no skip tracks, like, well.
I'm gonna let you finish, but.
What I mean by that is I can play the song play the album from start to finish.
Okay.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no song that I listen to, or that I'm just like, oh my god, I really don't like this song. You know?
Right.
The features, John Legend, who...
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
John Legend.
I mean, he's an E-guy at this point. Like, he's got it all. But... Yeah, I mean, whatchamacallit, love that song, even though I'm saying, like, fuck y'all for cheating. But, like, yeah, I love that song.
You do?
We'll get into some... You don't like that song?
You know, I'm letting you go, like...
No, I mean, we're having a conversation.
You know, okay. You know, I was like, let me let my homie finish. Okay, here's what I think. And we can start with whatchamacallit, then I'm going to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Whatchamacallit, I think, when I saw Ella Mai and Chris Brown, because I don't know if you, like, follow either one of them on social media, but I remember seeing, like, the clips of, like, it was kind of like them teasing a collaboration.
Okay.
And I think it was on Chris Brown's page, because I remember him playing, like, you know, some of the music, and I was like, okay, like, this song is about to, like, be dope or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was hyped, you know, for this Ella Mai Chris Brown, you know, joint. And then I saw the name and I said, okay, this could go good or it could go bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I listened to the track. It's not, it doesn't sound bad because neither one of them are horrible artists.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're both good artists. But for a song with both of them, I just felt like lyrically it could have been a bit more inventive. Like, the hook,
possibly.
You know what I mean? Just should have been a lot better.
Possibly. I mean, yes. I also don't go to.
Call it?
Yeah.
They really use that. Oh, it's a what?
I mean, I'm not saying that it makes. I don't think outside of the context of the song it makes any sense.
Okay. We both agree on that.
I think that people like it though. I think that it was effective. You know?
I feel like I've heard. No, I don't feel like. I know that I've heard stronger from both of them, and so them together could have given something a lot stronger. I feel like.
Okay, so yeah, I think that fair. That's how I felt about Motorsport. You know, before any of this stuff that was going on.
Okay.
I was excited when Motorsport first came out because, you know, there was no Cardi-Nicki beef. You had this woman nothing verifiable. Nothing public. Nothing that mattered. And so, like, Cardi is, like, up and coming, you know, she, like, Bodak Yellow is still hot at that point, like, all this other stuff. And you see her, you see Migos, and you see Nicki on the track, and it's just like, this needs to be a banger. And when I first heard it, first of all, I didn't like the fact that it was slow. I was expecting something very different. Mm-hmm. Just like pace. Yeah, I know. I mean, they don't do that in it. Yeah, but it was just like this. It was dragging. Like, it just felt like
the beat is a little more like. I get what you're saying. Yeah. I would have expected something a bit more raucous. Like,
yes, exactly. Exactly. But I mean, maybe No Limit had come out before that too. So here's what it was. Yeah. At the same time, No Limit with Cardi was hot. Rake It Up with Nicki was hot. I was expecting that energy. You know what I'm saying? Right. I was expecting, like.
But I guess we also temporarily forgot that that's not necessarily the Migos energy.
Maybe not.
Cause like the most up-tempo song that's coming to me right now for them is Fight Night.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they've done anything. And the fact that we both said that, I feel like that's probably about as up-tempo as it's gonna get. Cause even fair. Like Bad Bitches Only is like, it's kind of like in the it belongs on the same album as Motorsport.
That's probably my favorite Migos song, but it's probably because it's up-tempo. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I mean, so it just sounds like generally are you not crazy about the album as a whole?
Oh, no.
So just that song?
Just that song, and mainly it's just the fact that I don't like the chorus of the song or whatever. But no, I am loving that project. Mm-hmm. I really am. So it's funny because I always tell people in my advanced age, that's how you feel when you're like on the other side of 30. But I just feel like I used to like always be kind of tight when I would get an album or something, and it would be like 10 tracks, 12 tracks.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying, 13 tracks. I was like, man, like I want more music. Like, you know, cause you like these artists, so like you want to hear as much from them as possible. But I think as I've continued to get older and continue to like listen to music and things like that, it's just like I really can appreciate a cohesive set of 10 songs. And so now I really think 10 to 12 tracks is like for the most part what you need on an album. Yeah. You know, and if you have like interludes and stuff like that in there, okay, like Solange, probably in recent history, is the best example of. She probably gave us like damn near 20 tracks on A Seat at the Table, but because of how it was 20 because you had the interludes and the things
they weren't all tracks.
Right, and the interludes were effective.
Oh, 100%.
Thematically, one song to the next, and kept you in the vibe, in the mood of the whole project. You know, so I think like Ella only had like the intro track is an intro for lack of a better term. So it's not really a full song. But other than that, and I think she could have kept that, but I think she probably could have trimmed like a couple of songs off the project.
I don't disagree.
Like, because a couple of them kind of like, I can't really distinguish one from the other. But by and large and overall, I loved it. Yeah. Definitely loved it. So that was a good project. But kind of staying in the lane of R&B, females in R&B, and I did want to support just what you said earlier about like the women kind of carrying on their back.
Oh yeah,
like they really are. Sure. But a blast from the past, A. Marie.
What?
Yes, A. Marie. Like. Just one thing. Why do we fall in love?
Why don't we fall in love? This is the name.
Shit. So either way, A. Marie is back. Oh. Snitches. Like she's back on the scene. Like she just released. So one side I was looking at called one an album, then the other an EP. So we're just gonna say.
So she released 2 projects.
2 projects. I mean, now one is like 7 tracks, the other is like 5 or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But I will say that sonically I didn't hate it. Like now, granted, I enjoy A. Marie. I bought her first 2 albums.
Okay. I didn't do that, but I do enjoy A. Marie.
Okay, keep it a stat. But you know, she put together good projects back in the day. Definitely with both of her first albums and even the 3rd album that took her some years to release. That wasn't bad. But these new projects sound pretty good. It's kind of like vibe music, so I can appreciate that she knows where R&B music is right now, and she's not trying to give us like. So now I see the look on your face.
No. I'm interested. I'm sorry. I was listening to you, and I was just wanting to hear you finish because my thought was. This is very tricky for me, you know, because I think there's something to be said for an artist who has a sound or at least evolves and doesn't conform. So do you feel like it's that? Do you feel like she's just like trying to sound like everybody else right now?
No.
Or
I didn't think it was that.
Okay.
So while we're on the topic of sound, the one thing that I was telling my friend, I was just like, I don't know that I really can appreciate the use of auto-tune.
Okay.
Because it was
Ever?
like for like as many times as like I heard her do it.
Okay.
On the project.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
There's a time and place for auto-tune.
Right, and honestly, I feel like with auto-tune, the way that I think auto-tune shouldn't be used for the reason that auto-tune was created. So like auto-tune was created to assist in the studio.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To like help you get that, riff that you can't quite, you know what I'm saying? Like hit all of the notes in a clean way. That's cheating. Like to me personally, and it's like it's not even like a thing of like, so the two most effective uses of auto-tune, I think I'll just use auto-tune. Or just two for right now. I'm thinking of a couple more. But I'll just do these two. So it works for Migos. Mm-hmm. None of them are trying to sing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just an effect. It's just an effect in the voice. And then T-Pain. I think so.
We're talking contemporarily.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, we're talking contemporarily. Because you're probably thinking about like Zap. Yeah, right, exactly.
Like, I mean, because like they. I think to your point, and when you said autotune was created to, or like the talk box was like used to assist, instead of like thinking about like notes you can reach, which makes sense. I was thinking more so like it helps assist the song, right? So like they weren't doing like. I mean, I guess kind of. I'm thinking about more bounce to the albums, but like
I know what you're talking. No, I know what you're talking.
But like
about.
you know what I mean, like the auto-tune might be on a chorus. It might be like a piece of a song, but like you were still gonna hear like some real singing. Like I think that now in the ways in which some people are using auto-tune, it's like I'm gonna just do whole tracks, whole albums, and auto-tune.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, the thing. So yes, but I think. So the difference between someone who would say that and like a T-Pain who literally does that is. First of all, T-Pain can blow. Like if you've watched any of his live performances, and he's also a musician. Yeah. Like he's not just. He knows music. He does. You know, and so it's not a thing. Yeah, I mean, he needs his flowers. Put him right after Missy he's not necessarily a music video person.
That,
no. Give him something. He deserves it.
He could use like a BET icon.
Okay. I thought you were just gonna say a BET award. But like,
does he have
best album? I should hope so.
I mean,
he carried the latter half of the 2000s.
You're right.
So if he doesn't have one BET award,
that's gonna be disappointing.
I'm sure he does.
I think so too.
So
I'll look that up.
But I think that with T-Pain, it was just effective in a way that. So I think what you're describing is someone who uses auto-tune, like to help them get through the album. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's different, you know. So,
again, I didn't listen to the whole project.
Did he win some BET awards?
So, you may be surprised, but from the way this looks, he's only won one. Right. So now you see how legitimate my question was. And that was for the Good Life video. So that's
that's a shame. That's a shame. Wow. T-Pain.
I know.
He deserves more. He deserves. That honestly makes me a little sad.
I ain't gonna say I'm sad, but
I see it.
It makes me feel away.
He's definitely. He's an artist I would tell my kids about. You know what I'm saying? Like just being like he is an artist that I would tell my kids about, and that like, what?
Really?
Yeah, I think that he informed a certain chunk of. Well, I don't know. Maybe those were just transformative years for me, and they meant a little bit more.
Perhaps.
But I think that absolutely. He was. I don't know. He was just a movement for a very long time. He informed the way that people use autotune now. Like he was a staple, and I think that he created something that a lot of people took bits and pieces of to create what is now the music that we have. But it's fine.
Valid point. I mean, I definitely think that T-Pain is dope. You know what I mean? I've enjoyed listening to T-Pain. When I think about like artists I would tell my kids about, I can't say he's gonna come up in like the first couple of conversations.
Of course not.
I mean,
I'm not saying
like,
he's top priority.
I mean, but you know, I'm still trying to figure out where on that list, if on that list. But like, that's nothing. That's no diss to him because I think he's super talented. But I think about the type of music he made. I feel like I would still, my kids will find out about T-Pain because me and my peoples are still like when we throw in events, like T-Pain gonna always be in the playlist.
That's literally what I meant.
Oh, I thought you was like, because I mean,
like sitting down, like and reminiscing about the artist of my life.
Let me tell you,
no,
T-Pain was.
I'm just saying when the time comes that you know what I'm saying, like some little ones are running around the backyard and me and my friends are getting drunk and listening to music, like we're gonna talk about it and my kids are gonna be like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, let me tell you about T-Pain." That's what you gotta say. Let me tell you about Tallahassee. Teddy pinned her ass down.
You know what, y'all? Yikes.
that was strong. That was a strong assertion.
T-Pain.
That was bold. Because first of all, look at who you're referencing. And second,
oh shit! Oh my god! Oh. I never.
Did you not make that connection?
I knew Teddy Pendergrass, but I never think about Teddy Pendergrass in the wheelchair. Teddy Pendergrass. I'm thinking about Teddy Pendergrass, like he's still.
No, I wasn't saying
come on
anything
and go
about that.
with me.
I was speaking more so like.
I thought you would say like the fact that T-Pain was saying Teddy Pendergrass. They're like this ninja couldn't pin nobody now.
Do that. I was not doing
That's
that.
not what you were doing.
No.
I'm sorry.
What I was saying was.
I'm not insensitive to mobility
I know
issues.
you're not.
I was just like, yikes.
No, that's not what I meant. Okay. I'm glad that you told me what you thought.
Okay.
What I meant was he was, and now I didn't lost my train of thought. Sorry. Like, it is bold. What I'm saying is Teddy Pendergrass was a great artist, vocal, all of the stuff. And while T-Pain is great also, I'm just like, first of all, like, you're coming onto the scene, like, putting yourself essentially next to, and maybe it wasn't that deep. But it's just like, when I hear that name, because I know who Teddy Pendergrass is, and I know he wasn't trying to say, I'm a similar artist. I'm just saying, that's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like if somebody was like...
Talk through it.
Like, it's like if somebody had... I don't even know. I don't want to do it anymore.
No,
but it's just like... I'll be like, this is really corny. But like, I'll be sure to tear that ass up. You know what I'm saying? Like why are you doing this? Oh my God. Why are you referencing this person and also using it to like say how hard I'm gonna have? Like fuck you. Like
I'll be sure to tell you. I hate you. Oh my God.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
But no,
we can move on.
I'm actually sorry though that because we were definitely talking about A. Marie and we got all the way over here. Shit. Okay, we coming back to you, A. Marie. But I'm mad that I didn't automatically get where you were going with the Teddy Pendergrass instead of being like.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah. I was like, ooh.
Hadn't crossed my mind.
But all of that and then some. We love T-Pain. And I'm liking this A. Marie music.
Okay.
So
so you like the music? You said that
even though the auto-tune, yeah. Because I was like, okay, maybe it's just a part of like her little zhuzh she giving.
Yeah.
But and it wasn't. Even though I was like, okay, she's using this a couple of times more than I would have liked.
Okay.
For the beats that she was on, like I got it. I got it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like you can hear something and be like, I wish it was a little bit less, but then you can also like appreciate what they were doing and where they were going with it. So
send me that link too.
I definitely will. So shout out to A. Marie.
Wrap
up? Yeah, that wraps up. This has gone on crazy.
No, I mean, I don't know. Hopefully people will enjoy it.
I know, right? Hopefully you got a laugh out of it. You don't think that we're crazy.
But, okay, so the next section that we're doing, this is pretty much, or I guess it should be, pretty much the crux of the show. So the show, on that note, the next section is called Noteworthy. Basically, we're going to talk about an artist that we just feel is either noteworthy or that we just kind of want to unpack for a little bit. And that'll look a little bit different each time. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, albums, performances, you know...
Like they're kind of like their media presence.
Exactly.
Like
their impact on the culture. Like, all that stuff. So let's get into that. So this week, for our Noteworthy section, we have...
Usher.
Mr. Raymond, U.S. H-E-R-R-A-Y-M-O-N-D.
Now let me tell me what you want to do.
He has come a long way from being, you know...
The Usher of yesteryear.
Yeah.
And that could go in a number of ways.
He's come... I mean, the distance is there. Whether it was in the right direction or the wrong.
I'm sorry, you said the distance, and you made me think about another recent new release. Shout out to Mariah Carey.
Oh,
like, have you listened to that track? With her Ty Dolla $ign?
What?
Yes.
So I heard GTFO. I also heard the other one, do you it's
With You.
With You, yeah.
I think DJ Mustard produced it.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Shout out Mustard.
I love a DJ Mustard track.
Yes.
But yeah, I like that song too. But I didn't know. Look, between her and Sierra and wow. Yeah. And again, just goes back to my point. Mm-hmm. Shout out to women.
They're always carrying us on their back.
Yeah, but okay, so we're talking about Usher.
We appreciate
yeah, but I mean, for a long time, I mean, Usher was right there too, you know, like carrying the culture and R&B. I mean, look at the people now. I mean, Chris obviously looked up to Usher for a long time. I mean, isn't he the reason why Justin Bieber exists? Essentially.
Usher? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usher, not Chris Brown.
Right. I was confused. I was like, tell me more about this story. But no, yeah, because
I remember.
Well, Usher, I mean, Justin Bieber was like a YouTube or MySpace, one of those.
Like what's his name? Lil Mason. That was singing the yodeling boy.
Oh.
Okay, never mind. We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, I was about to say that whole bit exhausted me. But no, Justin Bieber, I think like he would regularly upload like videos to like whatever platform. It was YouTube, right? Like early YouTube. So yeah, then it became a bidding war between, I think they said, Usher's camp and Justin Timberlake.
Right.
But Justin Bieber, I mean, clearly I think he made the smart decision about going with Usher, because that automatically gave him access to a fan base and to a market that I think it would have taken him more time to break into coming from Justin Timberlake.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Justin Timberlake broke in and then like walked back out. You know what I'm saying? Now he's knocking on the door trying to get back in. So it's just like
that's another week's episode.
But no, so with Usher. First, yes, and not to say that his greatest accomplishment is discovering Justin Bieber, but I mean, think about how big of an artist he is, you know, and influencing people like Neo and Chris Brown and Trey Songz and all of these people. I mean, he was the voice of male R&B for a really long time. Yeah,
he definitely, Usher came about, and I think it's because Usher has been in the game since he was young, right? So he came about in that era where you still had like the R&B boy groups, your Jodeci's, your Boyz II Men's, and you kind of like, you know, he was there when that like early to mid 90s R&B wave where you had like the onset of people like a Joe, Donnell Jones, and I mean, technically I think he probably released his debut album before their debut albums even came out.
My Way.
That's his second album.
It's his second album.
He had the one where he was like really young.
Yeah, really young. Like too young to be doing the shit that
he was doing.
But then he did the same shit.
Apparently that's like growing up a summer with Puffy.
Right. Exactly. That's who it was.
Okay. Shout out to Puff.
Yeah.
Did he?
But no. No, but yeah, so with Usher, I mean, we can start there, honestly.
Okay.
We can start there and work our way up.
Okay.
Because I think maybe my first exposure to Usher was actually, if it wasn't My Way, it was, what was that movie? The Faculty? Or what movie was he in? It was like,
I think, was it The Faculty?
I think that was the
because Light It Up
movie. He was, but see, I didn't see Light It Up until after.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that came out later.
He was in another movie. I don't even know.
Wait, so you came to know Usher through movies first?
No, I'm just saying.
I was like, shit.
I'm just saying, you know, between that and My Way, the My Way era was my first exposure to, you know what I'm saying?
But
like nice and
really
slow.
blew up.
Right. Exactly. I don't think many people know about that first album.
No, I think like you kind of have to be like a music lover, like to know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially because like, so for me, I would say that I grew up in the age of Usher being his prime or whatever. Not to say that like, well, no, we can say his prime because we couldn't call now Usher's prime. But like, you know what I'm saying? I grew up in that era, but you know, when he released his first album, I was young. You know, I was like 7, 8 or whatever, I think. So it's like, I didn't really know about him until My Way. And I grew up during that era. So, of course, my thing is people that are younger than me, of course, My Way, at the earliest would be their first reference. For some of them, it might be 8701 Confessions.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay, so My Way, you know, his first album, what is it? It's just called, I want to see... Is it just called Usher? Cover. I can see the cover too. I think it's like a U and the circle around it.
It is, and it's like dark.
Yeah.
Spelled discography wrong.
So yeah. After that is 8701.
After My Way?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he also had like the live album and stuff like
that. Well, yeah,
that.
I mean studio albums. Is what I'm talking about.
But the reason yes, studio albums, yes. The only reason I bring that up though is because, the first album was just called Usher. Is because that live album was like a bridge between My Way and 8701 because it was a full 4 years before 8701 came out. And before 8701, it was actually a different album that was supposed to come out.
I think I remember this.
Because he had like the first single like Pop Your Collar or something like that. It's almost, I really compare that era to how Monica like had she was about to release the album All Eyes on Me, but then she ended up coming out with After the Storm. Yeah. After they reworked it. So it was kind of like that with that Usher album that didn't come out. I don't even remember what it's supposed to be called. Was it All About You? Or something I have no idea. But then they went and reworked it, and he ended up coming out with 8701.
And thank God.
And I really think that My Way, really made people recognize Usher. Right. I think 8701 reinforced that. Yeah. And I think kind of said, oh, this guy isn't playing around. Exactly. And it kind of like solidified him as a force to be reckoned with in adulthood because My Way was still teenage. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Do you remember that music video?
Which one?
The My Way
video? Yeah, but Tyrese in it. Mm-hmm. And they had the little, I always think that they look like a, it almost reminds me of the Beat It video. Kind of like maybe. With the little back and forth.
That's probably, he, of course, obsessed with Michael. I shouldn't say obsessed, but Usher Raymond very much heavily influenced by Michael Jackson.
Clear.
Yeah.
For sure.
So 8701, yeah. And it's not even, I have that to say because, and I guess this goes into, because I think I've talked with you before about Confessions.
Yes.
Which was the next album?
That was.
And me feeling like that was the moment for Usher. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, to date. You know? Right. And I think that you were thinking maybe it's 8701 in your opinion?
So, I agree with you. on that.
Yeah.
But I always say I used to debate people on whether or not I thought 8701 was a better album than Confessions.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I don't think that one is better than the other.
Yeah.
I think that because of all of the popularity and everything else, the narrative created around the Confessions album, I think that most people would say that that's a better album. But I think musically, if you listen to both, I mean, there's some cuts on 8701.
Yeah.
Just like Confessions got some cuts.
Right.
But like there's a lot of deep album cuts on both records that just make this
what it is.
You know what I'm saying? Right. You know what I mean? And it's hard sometimes because not a lot of people can do that where like their deep album cuts can really define the album.
Yeah.
Like you think about people that love Confessions, they're just as likely to name a song that was never released as a single as their favorite as a song that was a single. He had big singles.
Right.
But you know, one reason why I really love 8701, and I really found myself doing this with a lot of artists, is thinking about like, well, could we have gotten to that big smash, you know, critically acclaimed, commercially successful like project if we didn't have the project before it, right? Or sometimes two projects before. And I really think that 8701 was the best alley-oop for us to get to the Confessions era because, you know...
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Thank you. Because, I mean, it's just like, thematically, topically, he's talking about a lot of the same things.
Yeah. Well, that's because they were both influenced by the same woman.
Well, we could get into
because I think that there was just such a thing. I just remember being a child and being pressed about what Usher and Chili was doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why was I so invested in this relationship? And it's because of the music. It's because you got a glimpse when we didn't have social media, when, you know, people weren't yelling at each other on reality TV, or at least he wasn't, you know.
Right.
It's just like, this is what you're giving me to let me know what's going on with you all, and I want more of it.
Exactly.
And it's like he would have Easter eggs in his music. So which two music videos are supposed to lead into? And You Got It Bad?
Because You Don't Have to Call was the third.
You Don't Have to Call. Yeah, okay, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so You Got It Bad, and I think
You Remind Me.
You Remind Me, yes. Exactly.
That was like the big reveal at the end when Chili's... Because I don't think that people really knew before then. Like, I mean, I was a teenager back then, so I'm thinking, like, I don't really remember really knowing that they were a thing before we got to the end of that You Remind Me video. I was like, oh, shit, that's Chili.
But then they, like, broke up in between, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of in the middle of this whole process, he had to go from her... In the same album... her being and dancing with him in one of his music videos to, you know what I'm saying, like the next single or a couple singles later, you know, it's like, I think there was like, she's supposed to be like she's like on a bus. It's raining and like a bus goes by and it's like a picture of her on the bus.
Is that what You Got It Bad?
I think it is.
I don't remember that video like that.
I remember lots of rain.
Okay.
And they were, a matter of fact, I think she was in that video too, which was strange. And that was what was confusing to me and honestly more interesting to me because I was just like, who are you singing about her? Like, are y'all, like, what's going on? Right. You know, and we had no information beyond the song. So it's just like, it's kind of like when, I don't know if you remember, but with Beyonce, of course I have to bring her up, even though we're not talking about her. She did, our pilot episode would not be a pilot episode without a mention at the very least.
Of the king.
But, so, around the time that she released Upgrade You, I remember she was on 106 in Park, Blast from the Past.
Yes.
She was on 106 in Park.
Okay.
And...
Let's talk about what that would look like in 2018.
Right.
Okay. Shout out to Ashanti.
Oh my God, you ain't shit. But I remember because Jay-Z was in the song, But maybe I don't know. I don't know what was. I don't want to speculate. I don't know if she had released the album and people heard like Ring the Alarm and thought he was doing some shady shit, or like whether or not there were just rumors, you know, that like they weren't all right. And so in the beginning of the Upgrade music video, she also goes, and you know she's releasing Upgrade You on 106 in Park. Jay-Z's not there. And so then
but was Jay-Z really doing 106 in Park and shit like that?
Just follow me for a second.
Okay, I will. I'm gonna say what it is.
So he's not there, and then in the Upgrade You music video, if you remember, she raps the first rap. And so Jay-Z's, and she's dressed as Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, what's happening, what's going on. And it's not until the first, and she starts rapping the second rap too. So it's like you're watching it and it's just like, okay, oh, he's still not here. You know, like what's going on. And then, but she's dancing around herself. And then she slides and he shows up. And I just remember that being such a moment because it was like, oh, like I guess they're all right. But again, I don't even.
So I'm gonna tell you where you could have took that and we would have gotten there much sooner.
Yeah.
If you would have brought up the Lemonade Project.
Well, in my mind, well, it is. The reasons why it's different. It is very much the same.
I love the way
it's very much the same. I know, and I don't give a look. We can stay here. Right, we can stay here.
I'm staying right here. Like I'm staying right here.
So, I don't know if I've shared this with you, but in my mind, B-Day was Lemonade before Lemonade anyway. You know what I'm saying? If people were really paying attention, people wouldn't have been that excited. Well, Lemonade was iconic, but people wouldn't have. I hate the fact that there are people in the world who found out Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce in 2016. That is, you must not have been paying attention. But you know what I'm saying? I
agree with you, but I will say that I think that what makes it a lot different is there's a word I was looking for. The stakes. The stakes were different because in 2006, we thought they were dating, but
they definitely weren't married.
You know what I'm saying? And they weren't right, and they didn't have kids. Right. You know what I'm saying?
But even with that, yes. And so, which is why I do agree with you. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I think there's a difference was because we didn't have then what we have now. We didn't have social media.
Oh, for sure.
We didn't know what was, and even with Beyonce now, even though she's the most reclusive perhaps of the celebrities right now, we still see we have access, whether she likes it or not, to more information now than we would have before.
Yeah.
Just period. And so with B-Day, it's like you don't know unless you're. It was really the era of we do not know unless we see it in the music. Forget Beyonce not saying shit about shit. Nobody had a platform to say shit about their shit unless it was like the tabloids or like, you know what I'm saying, something like that. Taking it even farther back with Usher, it's just like he was communicating through music, which is so rare now, and it's just so compelling. Yeah. It's like you're invested. You want to know, which was why that alley-oop and then Confessions. My God. And that what a bold move. You know what I'm saying? Like what a bold statement. And so, it's just because this to me is where the descent starts. This to me, honestly. And because next is what Here I Stand. Yeah. Loved Here I Stand. I think it's a great album. But one, the reason why it's the descent is because I don't think it was as good as Confessions. Or did as much for Usher as Confessions did, maybe. Or relevance in the culture. So right, maybe marginally, very, very marginally worse into a cliff. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the thing about it though, because that's where I think we really have to have a conversation about, like, to what degree is a Confessions era defined by, Usher and Chilla ain't together, he might have cheated, what happened,
And
what's the narrative,
musicality.
right, and what's the music, and then taking it to the narrative and what Usher was around the Here I Stand, where he's married. People don't like Usher right now because he done got married to this woman that people had all sorts of. I always thought it was kind of whack that people based their dislike of Usher being married because of how his wife looked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of whack.
It is.
But because I'm more so, I was like, yo, like Usher just seemed like he's a little bit more temperamental than I think that we were thinking that he was.
Okay.
Because he was very like defensive. He was very much so on the defense.
He was.
And I guess like when thinking about what people were saying about him and his family or whatever at the time, I get it now being an adult. But at the time it was just kind of like, oh, like Usher done got into this whole marriage and he's really defensive about it. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I think to also talk about like kind of where things went, and I don't want us to gloss over the genius of Confessions, so we have to go back there.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that when you talk about like the descent, so it's interesting, right, how a project for an artist can be like the pinnacle,
right,
or like, well, I guess at the time you don't realize it's gonna be the pinnacle of your success, and I'm not saying that it has to be that way, but at that point and probably since,
yes,
Confessions is the pinnacle of Usher's career,
100%,
and like shot him to global stardom. But like that era right after that, like that's when he started to go on the downside. But that was also when he ended up getting rid of his mom as his manager. So thinking about like what does that look like? Yeah, like he and his mom parted ways. As her being his manager.
I guess it doesn't always work.
It doesn't. Okay, it doesn't.
Shout out to Matt. Oh, Matty knows.
So I'm gonna let that be that on that. But I do think that musically, Here I Stand was a solid album.
It was.
We'll get back to that and give it its little piece of time. But Confessions. So while I keep on saying like, we have to debate like the role of the narrative and how much it contributed to the project. That's not, please don't misunderstand.
I understand what you're
I'm saying that like
at the end
the
of the
music
day,
wasn't good as fuck.
Yeah,
the music, he hit hard out the gate with
Yeah.
Because if you think about
today.
That song,
it's just a song, for whatever reason, I never got tired of that song.
No. And that also because the smartest thing that they did with that track is the fact that it was a Lil Jon production.
Right.
The word, that was like his thing. Like that was a trade. Like if it's a word trademark, it's probably by Lil Jon.
Yeah. And
the sound, like sonically, it was just a sound that anybody could latch on to, and people loved it. Like
I'm trying to remember the way that I felt, because it is such a song now. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember the way that I felt when I first heard because when I tell you like I could be in any party anywhere,
right?
And hear that song and get hype as if it was 2004,
right?
And not care, unabashed.
And that's the crazy thing, because I'm sorry, like just jumping in, but it's very rare that you can hear a song that is very dated. Like that song is.
That's
dated,
what I'm saying. Why am I not tired of that song?
Right, it still gets you like. I mean, I say it's dated because of the sound. No. That sound.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like. Yeah, like people, we still go up for it, and
it's simple. I think it is beautiful in its simplicity.
Oh, for sure.
Because if you you made me think about this with what you just said. The production of it's so simple, mm-hmm. and it's repetitive. Yeah. But it's like you want you hear that and it's like you. I don't know, Lord. It's voodoo. It's such a, I don't know. It's like it makes you want to go in. It like makes you, wow.
And then yeah. It was a dope like first single, but then I think that it was kind of like, and maybe they had the formula or the playbook because of 8701, but you know, the second single for Confessions was Burn. You know what I mean? Which is
oh my god,
the child to You Got It Bad. You know what I mean? But I mean, and then like so.
I talk about Confessions so much, I forget the tracks that are on Confessions.
It's
something you just know is great, and I'm thinking about this track list. I forgot.
Ridiculous. That I'm gonna just click on this so we can just like talk about it.
We can get into it.
Okay. So, whatchamacallit, I think that so we were talking about the singles.
Whatchamacallit?
No, but here's the thing about it. That was a phrase, you know, everybody uses whatchamacallit, so that's why that song is gonna be catchy.
That's what I'm saying.
It just could have been
You
better.
didn't agree, but it's okay. So Confessions, and it's so on the special edition. I think the order is different, and I don't like. I'm used to. I don't even know, or maybe it's just different songs. But if you go to okay, Burn. Burn is just wow. I'm gonna have to listen to Confessions this week.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's. Go ahead.
I mean, so like I literally loved and appreciated every single he released.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Can we go back to
the track list? Yeah. I'm sorry, I just had to go up and check the. Okay, so let me say this. I appreciated the first two singles. I appreciated Yeah, and I appreciated Burn. I have never been a big fan of the actual title track, Confessions. Ever. I like the. You could give me.
I like the. No. I do like the interlude.
You give me the interlude, and I'm
honestly. Yeah, that's what it is. And I'm remembering now that that's what it is. But then, so. Yeah. Yes.
He sounded great singing the song. No. But it just wasn't mine. I was like, I could take this song or
I don't really like that
song.
I do like the first part though. Is what it is.
And it was like years later. I feel like when I learned that there was like an elongated version of that.
Don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it because it sounds different. Okay. He's saying the same words, but it's not the same. The tempo of the song is different.
Yeah.
All that other stuff.
True. You look at this track list, this joint.
I don't even know the order. Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam. That's what it is.
You know it.
That is what it is.
We were just talking about this, and I know that this is something we talked about too. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. If ain't nobody worked on their documentary,
I had said to you, maybe I was the homegirl.
No, it was my
I know. But I was talking to you about how BET, you know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm saying, like cite me on this if somebody hears this and this becomes a thing. I think that they should do a biopic within the same cinematic universe as you want to call it, as the Bobby Brown and the New Edition movie, because they were in the New Edition movie. I don't know. I haven't watched the Bobby Brown one yet.
Me either.
But yes, we need you'll see them in an episode. We'll have to do an entire noteworthy on Terry. I mean, just
Jam and Terry
Lewis.
Yes, y'all. That definitely is coming.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
But back to Confessions. So I didn't care for Confessions as a single, and I didn't care for My Boo. My Boo was okay the first 5 times I heard it, and then after that, I was just kind of like, this song is, I don't know. I
don't think it's on the. I think it's on the special edition.
It's on the special edition, yeah. But that was the next single he released.
Right. No. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
And then he came back and released "Caught Up" after that, which I thought was a good. "Caught Up" is a great single.
Yes.
It's a great song. Just the energy.
The music video, also again inspired by Michael.
For sure. The only thing about Confessions is that was back when people were like really, releasing like singles and stuff like that. And maybe the record label was just like, at a certain point we ain't gotta keep on pushing singles because this album is Diamond Plus, But I think that Usher could have definitely had a couple more singles off of that album. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you think about one song that was never a single, but I hear it at clubs and stuff just as much is Bad Girl.
Yeah, it was at the end of, I think it might have been the...
Was it My Boo
music video?
It was. Yeah. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, dang. I think I remember hoping that was going to be the next single. And then
I think I remember that too.
But, yeah, I was just like, yo, like, Bad Girl is... I mean, and there's also just that dope concert clip of Beyonce dancing with
There were a lot
Usher.
of people for a long time, because he was also in the Naughty Girl music video. There were a lot of people that saw it for them and wanted them to get together.
You know, I can't lie and say that I wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
I did, because it was just like, oh, like, they both, like... And then that's crazy, because it was still another 4 years before they did a song together.
No. Wow. I wonder what that would have looked like. I honestly feel like that would have improved. That would have kept Usher on a more artistic route, I think. I think that really would have upgraded him, for lack of a better word.
You know what?
Beyonce would probably still be the same, because she does.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
But like,
he probably wouldn't have cheated on it though.
Well, I won't say that.
Never mind. That's a lie.
I won't say that. But what I can say to that point about artistic is that I think that's a very valid point, because if you think about Jay-Z's craft, just, you know, since they've been together, I think that Jay-Z might have rolled the dope dealing, you know what I'm saying, used to be in the streets narrative a little while longer in his career, had that relationship not had its influences and shown up through his music in other ways. So I think like that's a pretty good point about how relationships impact music. And so I think that also gives a nice segue to, you know, we ain't got to talk as in depth about it, but and I know we could probably sit here and talk about Confessions all day.
I know.
Okay, but you know what? Since, well, you know, we'll wait because I got a question that I want to ask. But
now, I mean, you can ask me.
I mean, I kind of want to ask you like, what is like your favorite song off of Confessions? But then I also want to ask you later on, like, what are your just like some of your top Usher tracks? So
that's gonna be hard for me.
I know. Okay, how about this? I'll limit it to album cuts. What's your favorite like song on Confessions?
Okay, like deep cuts.
Yes.
So that are not
favorite deep cuts.
Well, here's
maybe like give me 2 or 3.
So, oh my god, I'm going to be judged. So, I like Seduction a lot. That's on the bonus album.
Okay. Yes.
I also like Can You Handle It. I also like That's What It's Made For. So take from
so
that
there's
what
a
you
theme. I'm gonna be the one to say there's a theme. And you are how old? Never mind. So okay, so that's the part of the album that kind of caught you and had you by.
Besides the singles, no, but because the thing of but again, that's not even to say, because all like the other songs, I can tell you songs that I don't care for.
Okay.
I don't care for Simple Things.
Okay.
I don't listen to, these are songs that I maybe just don't listen to. I don't listen to Superstar.
What? That was an interlude and track that was just like that.
I know, and it's not because I don't like it. I think it's like when you start skipping, you tend to listen to an album in the same way once you've listened to it for a while.
Okay.
At least I do, and it's like there are always tracks that my go-to tracks, and I'll just skip over the ones. Like if I started out not listening to a track,
you never like really get
I'm a
into
creature
it.
of habit.
So
there's another one. Actually, the track right after "Yeah" is what?
Throwback.
Yeah.
You don't listen to that?
No.
When I got the album, that was like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Like just because musically, that song, that song is just very. It, 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 there's certain songs to me that sound like movies, just because they just have so much that they're doing, and like you can just see how a song progresses, and it's like, oh, like this is a climax, and boom. But like Throwback is one of those songs Just Blaze produced the fuck out of that. And I think for me, I've always just really loved like that house soul and old school, like, you know, soul music, how they get sampled in R&B, because it gets sampled in different ways in R&B versus in hip hop, you know what I mean? So I appreciate when those samples are called upon and how it influences a song. So
love a good sample.
You know what I mean? And just, you know, what they did with that, because I'm pretty sure it was Dionne Warwick. Was it? I feel like it was somebody like that.
Somebody like that.
Cause it wasn't "Walk On By," was it? No, it was one of those songs. But just that was like clearly one of my favorites. Yeah.
And I mean, again, we literally could sit here and this will not be a forever episode.
No.
So I don't have much else to say. Well, I guess we can take a little pause on Here I Stand real quick, because that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, but that was the segue I was gonna make, because you were talking about his relationships, and I was saying like how relationships define an era,
exactly.
And you really think about relationships, and we touched on this already, but relationships definitely define his relationship, and I think his relationship to his mom / manager, to his new wife, to his fan base. All of that, you kind of saw how it played out with the Here I Stand era.
Yeah. I think after Here I Stand is, for me, when it's almost as if he like kind of gave all he had emotionally and started becoming a little bit more superficial.
Okay.
I think that after Here I Stand, he started taking a little less risks, maybe.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't listen to many other albums after Here I Stand.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I think when I hear you say he doesn't take as many risks, in my mind I process that as he started doing kind of what was the sound or what was popular.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So then, like, I think I can agree with that. Now, I don't think that it didn't necessarily bear out in the quality of the project, because I think Raymond vs. Raymond was pretty dope, which is the next project after Here I Stand. That was a pretty solid project. What my issues, I think, tended to be with that joint is that I never liked the song Papers. And I'm just now realizing that Zaytoven produced that. That's crazy. I don't think we really knew who Zaytoven was yet. Like 2010.
No, I absolutely didn't know who Zaytoven was, and I mean, I guess we'll get to that because of this new album. I'm not surprised. It's a similar. Papers to me is I'm about to do some fuck nigga shit anthem. I think that the album Usher just released is a I'm about to do some fuck nigga shit album. Like, and some of the songs are good, in the way that I like that sound right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like the fast, like, I think Birthday, on the new album, and I'll skip like 5 albums, but I mean, I guess we'll get back to it. But, I like the song Birthday. There's another song that I like. I can't remember the name of it, but it's very much Usher being like 40 and like still a fuck nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like he got less emotionally intelligent as he got older, which is crazy to me. At least it reflected in his music.
I was about to say, right, because maybe it's that because for so many years, like he talked a lot about it, seemingly, you know, his relationships and his things like that. in his music that maybe, and you know, and after like kind of that public backlash from when he, you know, got married the first time and things like that, maybe that made him, and I'm just kind of like coming to this realization as we're talking about this, maybe that kind of made him say, well, let me just give y'all some shit that I can like, I won't agonize over, you know, y'all ripping apart because it's not as personal to me as some of the stuff I've sung about before.
Which has its place and is fine, but also means I don't have to invest anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like you absolutely have that choice as an artist to choose the type of music that you make, obviously. But you know what I'm saying? Like
because you know,
and a little bit to take it a little bit further. And I mean, this isn't to belittle anything that Usher went through. You know, like everybody has our shit and everybody has our ways to cope. It's just, it's like a little less brave because I think about the courage that Beyonce had to have to release a Lemonade and be okay like with people like imagine the masses just like ripping that album apart, you know, that she ran that risk. Now granted it's great, you know, like she knew what she was doing,
but I mean
but you know, it's just like you as an artist show some of the best artistry when you are experiencing the most emotion.
But I mean, but at the same time though, is that possibly the case, or like, do I understand how you arrived at that thought? Yes. Yeah. But I also I'm just like, but it's not too different from kind of like how society is anyway. Whereas there's usually more space and there's not very much that's like really new about a woman being emotionally vulnerable in her music and in her life and things like that. And the narrative of my man cheated on me is unfortunately not an uncommon narrative. You know what I mean? Whereas with Usher, like when like he's a black male,
and hurting.
You know what I mean? And so, and we all know that those are conversations that people typically like to have. And also, whatever happened in that marriage or whatever, I was never really invested enough to really be concerned about like how they came together and how they, you know, apart. But you know, whatever was happening there, you know, that might have been enough for him to be like, okay, I'm good. You know what I mean? Because the threshold is just seemingly different.
So really quick, I want to make this point because honestly, we should probably wrap this up. But there was a moment in that space, you know what I'm saying, with Usher's albums where I thought he could be going somewhere. That moment was when he released Good Kisser, and then She's Gotta Give It To You with Nicki Minaj, like right after each other. I think it might have been around like 2014. Yeah, like going into 2015 maybe. But I remember listening to those two tracks and thinking he was about to like just sonically just do something like experimental and different, but also drawing from that soulful, you know, kind of live instrumentation type of thing that you were talking about. But then he didn't do it. So
I mean, so it makes sense though that he kind of hit those two songs. And I mean, so okay, musically interesting, yes, but topically, it's still not like those songs.
Oh yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Really.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I think it's interesting because the two albums that they came in between, you know, they both had their highs and lows.
Okay.
But I definitely think that I would have loved to have heard the album that Good Kisser and She Came to Give It To You kicked off.
Yeah.
Like that seemed like it could have been like a good project. Kind of like I would say a Raymond versus Raymond because, you know, for better or for worse, that's probably like the last like cohesive project from Usher that by like in mass people clung to. Even with like, I think it's probably too because they ended up like Papers what didn't become like the official first single. I think they ended up like making it the joint with Plies. Was that Plies?
Yeah,
Hey Daddy, yeah. That
Daddy's
and then Daddy's Home, and then they had like followed up with There Goes My Baby and stuff like that. So it was still like a solid project, but that was kind of like the last time we really had something because I kind of got lost in that thought. Like what I always say about was that Looking for Myself, and then the most recent one, Hard to Love, is that those projects both had moments,
right?
But they weren't sustained throughout the project.
I don't even like Climax that much, to be honest.
No, that wasn't never my joint. Okay. But he had some joints on there. There's a joint where he samples. I thought it was Biggie. Oh, you give it on, you give it on. I did not mean to sing for y'all. It's what happened to you? Oh gosh, I think it was. Dang, they sampled some song on that on one of those songs on there. Yeah, what happened to you? Yeah, Diddy, Biggie. Yeah, it was a Biggie song. One More Chance, I think it was. That was a good like that.
Is that 40?
Yeah.
Wow.
I never knew 40 produced that either.
What a cyclical conversation.
Right. But he had some good joints on there. The joint Sins of My Father. So it was that. Then on the Hard to Love joint, there were joints, but it wasn't a project. You know what I mean? So I guess like if we thinking about like Usher now, you said like the new project just kind of wasn't. It didn't really do it for you.
Speaking of, it was fine. It was good music too. But I knew an Usher that just looked very different.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
And it doesn't make sense to me that he would like revert in this way. Like, I understand music maybe not sounding as good, but just like the things that you have to say. Like you are less informed about, or at least through your music. And like you said, it could just be a matter of choice, right? But like I said, all of that emotional intelligence that you hear in Confessions or in 8701, Here I Stand, it's just like, there's no, and I mean, I don't know, he released it before, maybe he just wanted a turn up album, which is fine. It's 7 tracks, like, it's Beethoven, like, maybe he just wanted a turn up album. But I don't know. It's just like, I guess this is also just this blending of, like, style, and I mean, R&B, hip-hop, R&B will and have always influenced each other, but it's just like, they're so blurred at this point. I don't know if I deserve to be angry that a person that I know as an R&B singer makes like a kind of trappy like.
I mean, well, I think the good thing about it is that
kind of vocalizes, you know.
It's an EP or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for artists to be able to try different things and experiment and stuff like that. And I'm glad he did it with an EP instead of another album, right? Because I think he's been doing this like kind of experimenting for a little bit now. I haven't listened to the whole new project. I think I've listened to maybe 2 or 3 songs. I remember listening to She Ain't Tell You, something like that. And I was like, okay, like it's you know, it's a little bop, but it didn't like move me. But I've heard some people that really enjoy this new project. But
I do. But for Usher.
But you're saying for him, it's like. But I mean, I get that. But I think what I was thinking about, my wheels were turning as you were talking about this, is who is it that we really can look to that is maybe the generation above Usher that is the same type of artist that Usher is, that transitioned into this stage of their life and career,
Right.
that still kind of like were giving you the music that you like, but that also like seemed, I don't want to say age appropriate, but seemed like life appropriate for where you one would think that they may be in their life at that time.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know that, and I think that's going to be interesting because I think that we're in an era or at a time in music where we're seeing a lot of that, right? Like we're seeing that with like an Usher. We're gonna continue to probably see that with like a Beyonce, you know, and like her contemporaries or people that came around during that time, and like still seeing like, okay, so like these are artists, like our favorite artists that like we've come up with, they're getting older too, so then what does the game look like for them as they try to remain in it but not of it, maybe? And then what does that look like for who's coming behind them? And so I think that Usher is at a point in his life and career where I can see where there's very clearly some like maybe trying to understand artistic identity.
That's hard to, and when you're in and out of the game, and I don't know, I mean, he might be making music all the time, but if it takes a long time for a release, especially with some of those contemporaries that you were talking about, like around that era, because they're getting to that age where it's like you either have to drop something often to stay relevant or you run that risk. It's like, I think it's really hard to maintain who you are as an artist if you aren't constantly working on your craft.
Right. And I mean, and what I can say and what I will say about Usher too, though, is that Usher has done some things that maybe seem more like, okay, like this is what I would expect from Usher as he enters into his 40s. Yeah. Like I know he had that song Chains that was, you know, a bit more like, it had like a little mini film to it that I think was like really talking about where like the culture was with the, you know, violence and, you know, against blacks and, you know, the systemic killings of blacks in our country. And I think he's probably dipped the toe into trying to like have stuff like that, but I don't know if he or his team sees that as being like commercially viable, if that's something like a direction that he can fully embrace and go in as an artist and still remain Usher, because to a degree the Usher brand is still that, you know, maintaining like having the sex appeal, having like the draw from you know, female fans and, you know, things like that. And it's almost, to me, it's kind of like, you know, him being a rapper, right? Like, as you see, like, male rappers enter into, like, older age, it's kind of like, okay, you still rapping about, like, bitches, like, money and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, like, maybe something different. But then at the same time, it's like, but that person is still, that's still a part of their brand, and it's still, like, not really a way to, you don't really, there are no roadmaps, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at, because there's nobody that really has successfully, I won't say nobody has done it, but there aren't really ready examples that we can point to.
You're right.
So,
You're right.
Well, good luck, Usher. We still love you.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Still a fan.
And it is the people I'm a fan of that I
most critical of.
And most critical of. Absolutely.
It's all the love.
It is. It really is. It really is. Put some love back in that music.
So.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up, I guess, noteworthy Usher for this episode. So just the way that we're gonna finish off the show is just a little quick thing that we're gonna do. It's called Run That Back. So basically, we're just gonna say either an album that we're really listening to all the time, song that's stuck in our head, you know, just kind of something.
Yeah.
I don't know. To kind of talk about who we are, what we like, things of that nature, musically. So do you?
Yeah. So, you know, it's funny. Like over the past week or whatever, I really found myself delving into, like, as oddly as this may sound, Ariana Grande's latest project.
Okay.
Sweetener. And I mean, and I was telling one of my friends from work yesterday, I was like, because she was like, oh, you like Ariana Grande? And I was like, actually, I do.
Yeah.
I've had my issues about her enunciation and her stage presence, but I think she's probably working on both, so I'm gonna give her that. But I was telling my friend, I was like, she actually doesn't release bad albums.
No.
Like, and I think that they've progressively have gotten more cohesive, less sugary pop, and more like
well, that's her. That's
what I mean?
I think that is very indicative of where she is in life.
Very true.
Because
very true.
She was really young when the first album came out. Yours truly, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she has good. I've listened to every one of her albums, and I was kind of on Ariana Grande from you know what I'm saying, like from jump. It wasn't somebody that I had to find and be like, oh, her music is good. Like I've just since she was out, I've been listening to her music.
Absolutely.
And haven't stopped.
Same here.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me. Her output is kind of crazy too. In like 5 years, she's put out 4 studio albums.
It's probably contractual.
I mean, but shit, like that's output though.
Yeah.
But so what I'll say about Sweetener, of course, like there's, like God is a Woman. It's funny because when I first heard that song, I didn't really latch onto it, but now, like I developed an appreciation for it, and then I think the VMAs took my appreciation for it over the moon. So like I've been listening to a couple of tracks off there, that Borderline, stuff like that. But I very recently got into the song Better Off.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, oh, like,
I'm
gonna
tell you a story after we're done with this.
Yes.
Y'all can't hear that.
Okay. Some things we have to keep for us. No invasion of privacy. Shout out to Cardi.
But yeah, so yes. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No, you're fine. But like I just really like the lyrics of the song, especially when she's like, I'd rather your body than half of your heart.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn, that's some real shit. Yeah. Like that's, and just the progression of the track, like how she sounds on it, because Ariana Grande does sometimes her songs sometimes slide into that I can blow, so I'ma blow, and it's like I feel like on that song she's really just like. Mm-hmm. She rides that
and
beat.
she can. Oh my gosh, she has a beautiful voice.
Yeah, her vocal control is crazy.
I want her to do more with it. Honestly.
I do too.
But
I think if the progression of her projects are anything to go by, I think that she will. I think that she is someone to definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah. I think I am excited for like Ariana Grande at 32.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm excited for that album, whatever that's gonna look like.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah.
So Better Off, Ariana Grande. Check that joint out.
Yeah. So this one, I guess it's too early. I don't even know if it has a little star next to it on streaming or whatever. But so I'm gonna go back to LMA's album.
Okay.
So.
Throw it back.
Yeah. So. We were talking about it earlier. A song that I've really been listening to is Dangerous. And actually, so I wasn't listening to it until you put me on. Or at least not going back to it. Like I listened to the album all the way through a couple times. But I wasn't going back to it until you were taking me home that day when you were playing it in the car. And that is the best way to play it, honestly, and I think that's maybe why, because I was listening to it in my headphones.
Oh yeah. That song has to be played out loud.
Yeah. No. So it's just, and you were saying, I think maybe I have, maybe it just reminds me of you now, so that's why I like it too. But so, when you were talking about how, like, with you, and it sounded like something that you would maybe write, you know, or whatever. Like, I think that that's really dope. And then just the beat of it also, it just like drives, and I love a driving beat, like
Shout out to
like
Brian
a deep.
Michael Cox.
Yes.
Man,
yes, and that it was
he's gonna
honestly,
have an episode too,
right,
so get
exactly.
ready.
And honestly, it reminded me of that, like, because so kind of like a day 20 or like a Day 26.
Maybe
I'm the
something.
reason.
Yes.
The reason. Like the.
Did he do that?
I don't know.
I
know he did.
Cause he did a lot of stuff for those groups.
Yeah,
like,
but I know he did at least one song on that album.
Yeah.
But I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did.
So
I'm
too.
pretty sure he
looking,
did. Just go to the album or
Okay.
I was gonna say just go to Day 26, the album.
That's
but yeah, so I love that beat. So it reminds me of something like that, but then it also reminds me, for some weird reason, of Work by Kelly Rowland, which I like.
Right.
Like, it's just like a drive-in beat, and it's just like, I don't know. It's like, what she's talking about. I don't know. It's just a dope track. It's just like, it's an exciting love song. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It is. So
it's like it's like the sprung song. It's like how you honestly it like it's how you feel when you're kind of like infatuated when you're sprung. It's just like your heart's beating fast.
For sure.
I don't know. You just in it.
So Brian Michael Cox didn't do "I'm the Reason," but
yes,
he did do some of my favorite joints on that album.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like he's.
But yes. Yes.
But like, I mean, I'm glad that you ended up like really liking that joint and it getting stuck in your head because it's a dope track. Like I love again cinematic music.
Right.
Like that beat is doing something. Like that's the type of beat that you're gonna pay attention to even with no lyrics on it.
Right.
So like and then like the way that she wrote the beat.
She did.
Like yeah, I don't make did that. So okay, I dig it. Well, I mean. Gosh, we did exactly what we said we didn't want to do,
right.
which was give y'all like an almost 2-hour podcast. But we definitely hope that in it, y'all have found something that either made you laugh or that, something you can like think more about or hell, even something you want to dispute us on. So to that point, we have an email account
right.
and we welcome feedback because we definitely, one of our goals is going to be again to increase the space for people to have conversations about music and to talk about what we like, what we don't like, and to present different viewpoints. So feel free to email us at write us a note. That's write WRITE us a note at gmail.com. I try to be clever, like I play on a note, write us a note. So write us a note. It can be about artists, like albums, things you want us to talk about in the future. If there's like certain
questions for us.
Exactly.
I don't know, just ask us a question.
Yeah, for sure. Like whether you want our opinion about stuff musically or just
or what we like. Exactly. Musically.
For sure.
But
I'm glad. Yes.
But
keep it to the music.
But we did it.
Right.
We're here.
We did. God,
in this moment. And we'll be back.
Yes.
But this has been On That Note, and we'll see you all next episode.
All right. I've got to pee like a racehorse.
Yes. I hope it's not.